अर्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणं मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणि। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Bhagavan Shri Krishna expresses his tremendous concern for Arjuna as he answers the two questions of the prince of Hastinapura. One question was about mind control, and the second was about how the sadhana that a seeker would have done can continue even in a subsequent life. It was in this context of the second question that Lord Krishna assured Arjuna that not a bit of the sadhana would go to waste. And if the yogi or the sadhaka, we should say, sadhaka on the path to the highest spiritual accomplishment dies before he attains that height, nothing would be lost. In the next life, he picks up where he had left before. In picking up in the next life, there are two possibilities. On a scale of 10, if the merit that the sadhaka had earned in his previous life was up to level 6 or 7, he or she is born in a good family where materially, more importantly, culturally, and more importantly, spiritually, there is a lot of enviable goodness. The family, the father, mother, siblings, all of them are into dharma, into spiritual practices, and they deal with world's challenges in as dharmic possible as possible. That is Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. But if the punya that the sadhaka had earned in his previous life on a scale of 10 is 8 or 9, then he or she would be born not Shrimatam Gehe, but Dhimatam Gehe. He will be born. The word Geha is not used because these Dhimantaha could be sannyasis, could be people who had left their homes. Therefore, while the earlier case was Shrimatam Gehe, Geha means Griha, house. The 42nd verse used the expression Dhimatam Kule. Yoginam Dhimatam Kule. That is what is called Nada Santati. It is not biological birth, but thanks to the sanskaras thanks to the inherent tendencies that this sadhaka had gathered in his previous life, no matter where he is born, he ends up very soon in his life in the company of yogis, siddhas, rishis, munis, and so on. And Lord Krishna himself says that kind of next birth is very hard to get. And in the 43rd, which we saw, Sri Krishna says, be sure that in that next life, this sadhaka or the soul gets that same buddhi sanyoga, paurva dehikam. While in the previous body, he had attained or acquired a certain buddhi, certain healthy outlooks. Above all, he had developed a tendency to value spirituality above everything else in thought, word, and deed. Paurva dehikam buddhi sanyogam labate, and then yatate. He strives, tato bhuyaha, he strives more than how he did in the previous life. That is guaranteed. Now we pick up the 44th verse. Sri Shankaracharya connects us to the 44th. Katam bhurpuro deha buddhi sanyogaha. How does it happen when you say the purva samskaras act up? What actually goes on? Sri Krishna says, as put into poetry by Veda Vyasa, the shloka tells us, Purvabhyasena tenaiva Priyate yavashopi saha Jidna surapi yogasya Shabda brahmati vartate. Purva abhyasena. Whatever spiritual practices he had done in his previous life, they are purva abhyasa. Practices taken up in the past. Purva is past. Purva janma. At some time way back. And that abhyasa remains in his unconscious and subconscious. It comes to the conscious mind, and he is, even if he doesn't plan to, even if he does not want to, on the conscious level, something arises from nowhere as though and pulls him. Harati is pulls him, and the passive voice is used, driyate. The sadhaka is pulled, is dragged along the better path. When Narendranath Datta, the future Vivekananda, went to the Kali temple with all the intentions of asking for financial help to his family, to his father who had run into some debt, with all intentions of asking for material blessings, he goes into the temple. But as he stands before Mother Kali in Dakshineshwar, he also did not know what happened. All he asked for is, give me more viveka, give me more vairagya. 3 times it happens. This is called purvabhyasena priyate. If you and I have lot of purva sanskara, even if we are by some situation dragged into some wicked company, a place where wrong things are done or said or thought of, our old samskaras somehow make us quit, slip away from that place, not join over there. And other way also is wrong, correct. If somebody has bad sanskaras, even if he goes to a holy place of satsang, an ashram with Himalayan settings, his pura sanskaras make him think of pleasures, power, fame, name, quick gratification, and so on. So mind you, everything we do gets into our subconscious, then sits in the unconscious. And the Sukshma Sharira that travels from one body to another includes this unconscious and subconscious. The brain is just a receptacle of all this. And during one lifetime, the brain seems to be doing everything. But once one dies, all the sanskaras move away. The brain is buried or burnt along with the body, but nothing is lost as regards the soul, its purva samskaras. As Swami Akhandanandji of Vrindavan used to say, an ant climbs up a heap of dirt to get at a grain of sugar which could be at the top of that heap. In contrast, some kind of worm which wants to eat rotten things would climb up a heap of sugar and try to get some rotten piece of some vegetable or meat at the tip of the heap. Samskara. We must be like ants amidst very adverse conditions, unfavorable scenarios. We must try to gather to help ourselves to something uplifting. That happens in the case of this sadhaka. And Shankara will explain it a little more. Before that, Sri Krishna is saying, Avashaha. Avashaha means you don't know why it is happening. Your friends took you to a place of merrymaking. But something happened and you actually got up saying you will go to washroom. But after going to the washroom, rather than returning to the friend circle where they were enjoying, you somehow felt, I think I'll go home. Quietly, you will just disappear from Avashaha. Later on, you wonder, I don't know what made me leave that place. I just left the place and came home. Avashaha, as though you had no control on it. And the second half of the shloka says, Jijnasurapi, somebody who hasn't fully understood the highest truth, but wants to know. That's enough. You don't have to know very clearly where you are heading. You have an intense desire to reach higher realms of spiritual attainment. Jijnasu, jnatum ichu. Then you go way higher than karma kanda, which is called here Shabda Brahma, Ativartate. Adi Shankara throws some light on Purvabhyasa. Yaha Purva Janmani Kritaha Abhyasaha Saha Purvabhyasa. Don't hurriedly translate Purvabhyasa. The yogic practices that you do in the morning facing Purva, east. Some other place Purva can mean the eastern direction. But here Purva is not the direction of east, but it is previous life. Purva Janmani. Tenaiva Balavata. It has such force. By that, tendencies of the past, which are very powerful, Sa Abhyasaha Balavan Vartate. Balavata Tena Abhyasena. Tena Eva Abhyasena. He tries to attain the highest accomplishment. Sansiddhau yatate, or he is hriyate, drawn towards it. Avashaha, though he is unwilling at certain level of the conscious mind, his plans were very different. But before he realizes what is happening, certain things arise from the unconscious into subconscious, from the subconscious into the conscious mind, and direction is changed. Yoga Brashtaha, we are talking about someone who had fallen off halfway. न कृतं चेत योगाभ्यासजात संस्कारात बलवत्तरम अधर्म लक्षणम कर्म. One requirement is, Adi Shankara carefully adds, in the next life, God forbid, this fellow somehow again gets into wrong things. Adharma lakshanam karma. Then it's going to be difficult. But na kritam chet. Suppose he doesn't get into wrong things. In his commentary on Viveka Chudamani, Chandrasekhara Bharati, the very renowned Swamiji of Sringeri, 2 generations ago. Presently we have Vidushekara Swami. His guru is, who is very much living, he is Bharati Tirtha. And Bharati Tirtha's guru was Abhinav Vidya Tirtha. Abhinav Vidya Tirtha's guru, so I must say 3 generations ago, there was Chandrasekhara Bharati. He wrote a commentary in Sanskrit on Viveka Chudamani. And in the early page, on the initial pages themselves, he says, he quotes from some Sutta Samhita or somewhere, where it is said, even if you don't do what is prescribed, akurvannapi vihitam pratisiddhat nivartayet. You are not able to do many good things. Okay, you are not somehow finding the time or energy. But for heaven's sake, just avoid doing wrong things. Akurvannapi vihitam nishiddhat parivarjayet. Then second half says, if you don't do wrong things, you just avoid doing wrong things, or are unable to do right things. It says, Nishiddha pariharena labate vihite matim. Stay on. All you do is avoiding wrong things. Then a certain energy gathers in yourself and labate vihite matim. You will have motivation. You will have the desire. You will have the necessary energy to do vihita. Vihita means what is prescribed. For simple example, you may not be able to do paropakara, not able to help others. You are so busy with your own duties. But for heaven's sake, don't trouble anybody. Don't do para apakara. Okay, you are busy with your own things, fine, stay on. After some time, that energy upon catching momentum will make you do good things for people who are suffering. So, Shankaracharya warns, "Na kritam chet yogabhyasajat samskarat balavattaram adharma lakshanam karma." If you take care not to do adharma lakshana karma, which otherwise would overpower the tendencies born of yoga abhyasa, then definitely yoga abhyasa janitena samskarena riyate. You will be pulled by good samskaras. But not paying heed to such good advice. Adharmaschet balavattaraha kritaha. Because the evil tendencies have not vanished. There are a few evil tendencies even in this next life. And if somehow this person falls for them, adharmaschet balavattaraha kritaha. Acharya Shankara warns all of us, don't take things for granted. Tena yogajaha api sanskaraha abhibhuyate. In your last life, you had done a lot of yoga abhyasa. Those sanskaras are waiting to take you further up on the spiritual scale. But again you started doing some wrong things. Then yoga jaha sanskara abhibhuyate. The good tendencies get overpowered. I'm sure some of you are remembering the story by the Seattle chief. So, Native Americans, there were and there are so many tribes. One tribe or one community, one group was in Seattle. You find another, even now, members of that Grand Canyon, Hopi, that is called Hopi. But this Seattle, I don't know what their name is, but there's a story, famous story. The Seattle chief tells his son, "My son, let me tell you a secret. Inside you, there are two wolves, and two wolves are constantly fighting. Wolf one, wolf two. And that battle goes on inside you." The son very eagerly asks, "Tell me who wins?" And the classic answer by the Seattle chief, Cherokee chief perhaps, he's called Cherokee, like Hopi, I guess. So Cherokee chief answers, it may not be Seattle then. So Cherokee chief. It's a Native American story who were called Red Indians, mistaking American continent to be India. So Columbus went in search of India and he mistook American continent to be India. So initially the natives over there were called Indians, then the Red Indians. Even today that word is used many a time. So among them, they had their own wisdom, they had their own culture. They had things which even today Europeans and rest of the world perhaps could learn from. However, very unfortunate pages of human history, they were decimated. All right. The father answers when the son asks the question, which wolf wins? Father says, the wolf that you feed more. Therefore, no matter what has happened in our life, starting today, starting this hour, starting this moment, we must train ourselves, persuade ourselves to do what is right and avoid what is wrong. Then, as Shankaracharya would say, in the first part he said, Yoga Abhyasa Jalitena Samskarena Hriyate. If we again do some wrong things for which we already had paid a heavy price before, then Yoga Jaha Samskaraha Avibhujan. If you by mistake feed the bad wolf, then the bad wolf only will win. Don't feed bad wolf inside you. Tatkshaye tu yogajaha samskaraha swayameva karyamarabhate. When those bad tendencies go down, good news is bad tendencies die on their own really if you don't feed them. If you don't add more oil to a burning lamp, the lamp will get extinguished on its own. Likewise, all of us really should not worry much about the sinful tendencies in us. They are waiting to die. But the mistake we made is we revive them. We again pour oil to the burning fire. Tat kshayetu yogaja sanskara. Na dirgha kalastasyapi vinashastasyasti ityarthaha. Suppose some good thing you had done some regular puja, regular Sandhya Vandana. You attended some Vedanta classes with great interest and involvement for about 3 to 4 years in your last life, when you were 40 to 45 or so. Then you lived a pretty long life, 87. But between the age 40 and 43, you attended sort of spiritual satsangs, participated, and that's a good time. Dirgha Kalastha. So this is a long time in last life, and in that last life also when you were 40-year-old. Then you again messed up things and alas, Dirgha Kalastasyapi Vinasha. No, that won't be rubbed off, that won't be erased. What you had done at the age of 40 for about 3 years in your past life can again arise. So praising the good work that you and I have done past, Sri Krishna said what he had to. Shankara says, Jidnasurapi yogasya. Who is a Jidnasu? Swarupam Jnatumichan. Somebody who does not have very clear understanding but wants to have. Lot of pravachanakars have very good understanding of Atma and Paramatma and so on. But alas, they may not have enough of Vivek and Vairagya once they are down the platform. Once somebody came to San Jose when I was living there, a lady from India, and she gave brilliant discourses on Ramayana. I don't think I met her, but I heard about her. Wonderful. Whole community was excited. You know, she has come. And this evening she is lecturing on Valmiki Ramayana here. That evening, Valmiki Ramayana, she was a South Indian and not Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas, but Valmiki Ramayana of Valmiki. She was speaking. Oh, what language, what knowledge, what memory, what insights, what light she threw. And later on, somebody said to me, yeah, morning and evening she gave lectures. She stayed with us. I looked at the family who had hosted that lady. Really? She was with you? How blessed you are. Yeah, but between morning and evening, we had to take her every day for shopping. Every day that lady went. So many places in the San Francisco Bay Area. Lot of shopping, I believe. So, alas, that doesn't make her much less than what we would imagine, but certainly, if she had more Vivek and Vairagya, the story would have been different. So let me be a little soft and kind to all those pravachanakars. If there are excellent pravachanakars who speak well, who educate the general public in an excellent manner, God bless them and they are doing good work. But between the lectures, suppose they are into shopping, movies, and such things, well, unfortunate. But at a time will come, they will remember what they themselves advised the whole world. And their tendencies for pleasure seeking will go down. Now here Jidnasu, he doesn't have the high understanding of those pravachanakars, the speakers. But if he is sincere, yoga marge pravruttaha, sannyasi, yoga brashtaha, samarthyat. The context is of a person who had gone a long way. So Shankaracharya takes the case of a sannyasi who fell short, who just before he realized died or something. Saha api Shabda Brahma atikramati ativartate. Shabda Brahma is Vedokta Karma Anushtana Phalam. So there is karma, there is upasana, then there is jnana. So by being very eager to know the highest truth, a lot of things are set in motion and this sadhaka attains rewards of karmakanda. Kimuta buddhva. What if he is not a jidnasu? Jidnasu is someone wanting to know. One notch above him is someone who knows. Ask him, what do you mean by Atma in the Vedanta? Ooh, that person says, sit down. The Atma in the Vedanta is different from the Atma in the Karma Kanda. The Atma in the Vedanta is without birth, without death, no form, no name, all pervading. It is in fact beyond space and time. Tell me, I'll explain. Come on, sit down. He can be Buddha. And such a person had become a yoga brashta before, but he has great, wonderful, clear knowledge. Then what to say? Kimuta, what can we say? Abhyasam Kurya. About him who now takes up the practices earnestly. He regrets how he had wasted his time and energy. in pursuit of worldly pleasures and so on. And what will happen to him? There is a verse about that. Prayatnādyathamānastu yogi samshuddha kilbishaha aneka janma sansiddhaha tato yati param gatim. This moving upward and further upward to become a yogi is indeed most desirable. Shankara connects us to the 45th verse saying, Kutascha yogitvam shreyaha. Why is becoming a yogi so wonderful, so desirable? That must be the goal of our life. Why should it be so? The 45th sloka says, when you become yogi, you go to paragati, you go to the supreme state of freedom. For that, effort is needed. Bhagavad Gita does not confuse spiritual students by misquoting things in wrong context. In a certain context in Upanishads, yes, it is said, you are already yourself. Nothing needs to be done. But if the person is not fit to understand it and stay by it, then uncompromisingly, without mincing words, Bhagavad Gita says, put in effort. That's how I personally find Ramana Maharshi also doing tremendous justice to the vision of Sanatana Dharma about making certain rules, following them, practicing self-discipline. He clearly says in a shloka in Ramana Gita, Niyamaha upakuruvanti prayatne yunjatam satam siddhanam kritakrityanam niyamaha swayam galanti niyama swayam. Do you have to have rules? I will get up at 4:30. I will, without doing some yogasana, pranayama, some japa, some etc. I will not take breakfast. Suppose somebody makes some rules. And this is what I will study, this is what I will meditate on, this is what I will do once a week. Some 7 or 8 rules one has made for oneself. Tadrishaha niyamaha, rules of that kind, upakurvanti kim, upakaram kurvanti kim, do they help a spiritual seeker? Maharshi says, of course they do. Niyamaha upakurvanti, prayatne yunjatam satam. When you are reached very high level, you don't have to leave the rules will leave. Siddhanam kritakrityanam galanti niyamasvayam. What a balanced view, what a observation, making room for people at different levels of maturity. Adhikara they call it. Aneka janma sansiddha. As one practices over many lives sometimes, one ripens, the soul further ripens and attains paragati. This simple shloka is explained by Shankara, prayatnādyatamāna. Somebody who looks at it grammatically may say, what is this? Yatamana means putting in effort. Prayatnādyatamāna, putting in effort with effort seems to be a little bit of language issue. No, there is no language issue. Language, after all, has many expressions, maybe in English or Hindi or Tamil or Sanskrit. All of them have some expressions which are, in a sense, a bit inappropriate, but they have been used. They give the example in English, bake the bread. Bread is when the baking is over, but bake the bread. I want to bake the bread. You bake the flour, you bake this samagri, and then it becomes bread. So there are lots of expressions. Let's not go into linguistics. In Sanskrit, you may say prayatnādyatamānaha, and don't translate it as putting in effort with effort. That's your translation problem. When you have such an expression, as Adi Shankara himself does, he says, Prayatna Yatamanaha. Both of them have the same root, Yat Yatate, to put in effort. Shankara explains, Adhikam Yatamanaha Ityartaha. Prayatna Yatamana means putting in more effort. And then that yogi, Samshuddha Kilbisha. The word yogi is, you can see all over the Gita, sometimes used for sadhaka on the path, sometimes it's used for sadhaka who has reached the destination. Again, it is a language issue. Such usage is permitted. A father may say, my engineer son had come home for vacation. And then some friends say, oh, is he already an engineer? The father may say, no, what do you mean? He is a student in engineering college. But yeah, by the time he came to second year of the four-year course, we in our house call him engineer son. And our daughter, we call her chartered accountant daughter. She also has yet to complete. Oh, I see. Engineer son is not an engineer yet, but you have no doubt that he will complete his studies and start working as a professional. So you call him already. Like that, yogi can be used for yoga marge stitaha. Then yogi at some other place can mean yoga siddhim praptavan. So Shankara says, Samshuddha kilvishaha, Samshuddha papaha, Aneka janma samsiddhaha, Anekeshu janmasu kinchit kinchit samskara jatam upachitya. Little by little, he collects. Tena upachitena, whatever is thus gathered, collected. What comes to my mind is how birds make a nest. A piece of grass, a piece of little twig, piece of something dried, so many things they go on bringing here, put here, put here, put here. Finally, a wonderful nest where the mother bird can even stay comfortably with 4 or 5 little ones who were born later. All of them are provided for. Kinchit kinchit sanskara jatam upachitya tena upachitena aneka janma kritena sansiddhaha aneka janma sansiddhaha tataha labda samyak darshanaha. And that liberating insight, is vision of the samyak, of the right vision of the truth takes place. He goes to paragati. And then there are 2 verses praising this yoga, urging, these are motivational verses. Tapasvibhyodhiko yogi dhanibhyopi matodhikaha कर्मिभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्माद् योगी भवार्जुन योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेन अन्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः. Both the verses, mataha, mataha. Mataha means considered. The yogi who attains to samyak darshana, who knows her own spiritual nature, a big change, that's a quantum leap. Normally you and I get swayed by material success in the world, business success. Oh, this person went from here to there. That person became rags to riches story and so on. These business stories. Or we are charmed by somebody who got an Olympic medal, an Oscar, or in India you have Bharata Ratna. Sri Krishna says all that is okay, but someone who has realized her own true nature, Samyak Darshana Nishtaha, that is way higher than everyone else. Tapasvi, those who are able to stand on one foot, those who are able to fast, those who are able to keep silent, Which is an impossible challenge for most people in this world. Once I told somebody, why do you talk so much? Oh my God. He was unhappy that I made such a comment. And he said to me, you have made this comment. I tell you, I am not such a talkative person. And he talked 1 hour to me. I went on listening. And at the end of it, now do you understand? I don't really talk much. You accused me of being talkative. I said, I understand. So I wanted him to leave the place. Left the place with some agitation. He calls me talkative. Where did I talk? Do I talk at all? In fact, generally, I am the most silent person. That's how he thought. So, when you find someone not out of dullness, but out of certain maturity, certain calmness, sits quietly, does not go on talking, and when necessary speaks, then that person is a tapasvi. And this yogi of Atmajnana is higher than tapasvi, higher than jnanis, that is, who have grantha jnana, scholarship of the scriptures, higher than karmis, who do karma kanda, various yaga, yajna, homa, havana, and so on. Tasma yogi Bhāshya. Arjuna become a yogi, say Sri Krishna. And among those who have reached the highest, though in one sense they are equal, on the highest plane there is no division. But still, Sri Krishna, to highlight that love of God, he says in the 47th verse, of all the yogis, someone who, even though he knows there is nothing to be done, but praises God, shares love of God with others. Madgatena antaratmana. His inner soul is as though always at the feet of God. And he comes across, for people who look at him, he looks like a devotee who is yet to reach. Someone like Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna did not give impressive lectures like Vivekananda did. But he was enlightened, he had all the wisdom, but would cry like a child for Mother Kali and so on. Saha Yuktatamo Mataha. He is the best. Adi Shankara also gives just brief comments. He explains. Tapasvibhyaha, he doesn't explain. I said various austerities some people do, and our eyebrows go up looking at the austerities. There is one person in Bangalore. In a sense, he is a yogi. In a sense. And he launched a program called Brahma Muhurta Yoga. And all over the world, he has succeeded in making many thousands get up at 4 a.m. And there is a yoga abhyasa and so on. He emphasizes that 4 a.m. So we admire. We look at him and all the followers. Wow, 4 a.m. you get up? And for 45 minutes or 1 hour, there's a program of exercises, pranayama, prayer, and so on. Brahma Muhurta Yoga. So, tapas, many kinds of tapas. Then Sri Shankara says, Dani here, Dhanam atra shastrartha pandityam. If somebody has an enviable command over varieties of scriptures, our eyebrows go up. I am nowhere near him, I am nowhere near her. But someone who has clarity about one's own true nature, it's adhika, shreshta. Karmibhyaha agnihotraadika. Yogi vishishta. Tasma yogi bhavadya. Don't think Sri Krishna just talks all sorts of philosophy and then Arjuna says, all right, let me fight. No. Sri Krishna gives clear instructions. clear guidelines. Bhagavad Geetā should not be misunderstood by anybody as all high philosophy. Doesn't help me in real life. I had an elderly friend, he's even in touch with me. He would use the Hindi word adhura. Adhura means incomplete. He somehow, because of certain things that happened in his life, somehow he is a sad man. And the sadness prevents him from studying Gita also. He rather would like to meet me after my Gita discourse and go for a walk with me. Or he would meet me before the discourse. During the discourse, he either is not attending, who walks around the building, or sometimes he has attended my lectures, but I can see his face, his mind is somewhere. So when I asked him, Sinnaji, why don't you study Gita properly? No, Swamiji, Gita mere liye adhuri rahi, incomplete. He wants Krishna to come and solve his financial problems, health problems, etc. Like children would want. Spoon feeding. Krishna has given guidance. Take a guidance and take a piece of advice, follow it. You will get all the problems solved. Yogi Bhavarjuna. And then explaining the last shloka of the 6th chapter, Shankaracharya says, Yogi Namapi Sarvesham. There are many people who are called yogis. They are called yogis because Rudra Adityadi Dhyana Parana. Someone is meditating on Rudra, maybe Shiva or one of the other Rudras. Someone is meditating on Aditya, on the sun. Dhyana Paranam. They are also yogis. People find in them certain luster, certain radiance, certain enviable self-control. But all of them, Madgatena, Mai Vasudeve, Samahitena, Antaratmana, Antakaranena. If someone's heart is in Bhagavan, Vasudeva, Samahita, well collected, and the thoughts are together, all together, like they say, unanimously, they are with Vasudeva, Sri Krishna, and expressing great Shraddha, Nischala Shraddha, unmoving, and worships God, Bhajate Mam, Saha Yukta Tamaha. Yukta Tamaha means, Yukta is yogi here, among yogis, he is the best. In this way comes to close the 6th chapter. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Geetā Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Atma Sanyoga Yogo Nama Shashtodhyaya. I'm sure all of you found this chapter 6 coming out with not only more wisdom, throwing more light on the intricacies of this school of wisdom, school of thought called Vedanta, but also giving to you many practical tips, many pieces of advice which are so clear. There is no ambiguity about them. With this, we may easily say that chapter 6 is one of the best in the Bhagavad Gita for both theory and practice. May Lord Vasudeva's grace be upon all of you in continued study. Here we close the 6th chapter, and that is also 1/3 of the Gita. You divide it into 3 parts. The first part is said to be Tvam Pradhana. The second part is said to be Tat Pradhana. We will explain it when we begin the 7th, and the last part is Asi, where Ekatva in a manner of saying. So this Tvam Pradhana, focusing more on Arjuna's problems and solutions to those. Arjuna is the Tvam there, the student. Tvam Pradhana, 6 chapters. We close, and we will take a break now for a couple of months. Number 1, a break has been due for a while to attend to various things, all of you, I too. And then number two, I am also embarking on a short US tour, August 14 to September 25, 6 weeks. The time zones and travel, etc., will make it a bit difficult to continue with these lectures. So we will restart Bhagavad Gita talks on YouTube in early October, the first week of October itself. August and September, there will be no lectures, the remaining days of this July also. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva Hariya Sudipaya.